Welcome back. You're still watching Nile Cruise. Under each stone, you would find something related to ancient times. Under each stone, you would find a proof that Egypt was the melting pot of different civilizations. And in 2022, we enjoyed many archaeological discoveries and we enjoyed other things we are going to discover in detail with our dear guest. As he is an expert and he is going to answer all our questions regarding many things related to archaeology. He is our researcher, he is our Egyptologist, and our expert, Mr. Bassam Shammaa. Thank you very much for being with us, sir. And let's speak first about the main discoveries we had, or the main archaeological discoveries, because as I'm saying, it's not surprising anymore to find that every now and then, every day, we would discover something new all over Egypt, from Thebes to San al-Hagar. Tell me more.
Okay, well, thank you very much for mentioning San al-Hagar, because
I'm coming from the Delta, you know.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this is something which is pretty interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The Egyptian civilization, unlike other civilizations, is not an ambiguous civilization.
Mm-hmm.
There are two types of civilizations, an ambiguous one and a clear-cut one.
Mm-hmm.
So when we get asked this question, we normally would answer the excavations that happen in Saqqara. We have over 400 sarcophagi with the mummies, mummification, all sorts of excavations like so.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, today I'm going to take you to, as usual, another angle outside the whole huge box that we call excavations. And to me, it became very normal, as you mentioned, to find 200 sarcophagi under the ground in Saqqara. And the reason why is because this is a cemetery. This is a necropolis since the beginning of the dynastic era all the way until the Christian era. So anywhere you're going to sneeze, you're going to bring up tombs and you're going to bring up sarcophagi and mummies in Saqqara. So no surprise, as you mentioned. Yes, no surprise. I agree with you 100%. So today I'm going to choose for you the excavation number one for me in 2022, which could get as a surprise to many of the viewers. A dilapidated house, 2 stories, with an internal staircase in Sinai.
Okay.
And it was for dwelling, but also they found a room for the dealing with copper.
The dealing with?
Copper, the metal.
Copper, okay.
Right? So that is the house of the supervisor of all those mine expeditions and copper expeditions which were sent by the king. Very important thing, that the day the king takes the throne of Egypt, many things happen, many decisions will be taken, but one of the very repeated decisions as a normal, natural decision and declaring as a decree by the king of Egypt or the queen, in the cases of the 6 queens that we know about, is to send an expedition to Sinai. That important is that it must be accompanied by the army, by the divisions, by the platoons of the police and the army. That gives you an idea why is this a very important act. 2, they are going to reach Sinai and they are going to try to excavate there in the mines the turquoise, because it's the land of the turquoise.
Sure.
It is the Ta Mifkat. Ta, earth, land. So Mifkat, turquoise. So it's the land of turquoise. So this is by 100% by default an ancient Egyptian naming that we are still using till today. And copper. And to extract copper, you will have to deal with it. You have to melt. You have to do. So there will be a room in this, if you like, villa.
Yeah.
Because later on, Rome will take the idea of villas and became today the Villa of Pompey, the Villa of So, the Villa of the Emperor So. And they found that this place is of that of the supervisor of the workers. And that attracted me directly to the community of workers in Sinai.
Okay.
And because of this in particular reason, why this is the number one excavation to me in 2022. Why? Because you will notice that not only Egyptians worked in Sinai, there will be people from the nowadays Saudi Arabia, the Arab Peninsula. There will be people from nowadays Jordan, and the Nabateans, Al-Anbat, and there will be from Canaan, we are talking Palestine, Syria, parts of Syria, and by the people in the Phoenician region, Lebanon.
Uh-huh.
You are talking about the land, Egyptian land of Sinai, enduring and mixing the very melting pot that you started with your talk.
Yeah.
And the good example of the melting pot is Sinai in ancient Egypt. Now, we have one problem which got to be solved by the workers, which is language.
Forgive my ignorance, sir. Was it then also our eastern border?
Yes.
I
And
mean,
thank you for calling it border, because I don't like this business of it's the open gate of Egypt.
no, border.
So thank you for using borders. Yes, because we are the first, if you like, nation to use the word border.
This is to explain why the expedition was accompanied by the army.
Of course,
Yeah.
because there will be challenges.
Yes.
And you are talking turquoise. That's expensive. That's precious. Copper,
Treasures.
precious, exactly.
Yeah.
So what did they do? See the smartness of the Egyptian worker, the Egyptian hand, the Egyptian fingers that created that civilization. This civilization was not made by Ramesses II. I'm sorry. This civilization was not founded by Hatshepsut. I'm sorry. They were a small machine.
They were
into
included
the whole.
under the big umbrella.
Exactly.
Yes. Amen to that.
Exactly.
And I do respect every single worker who did something, even if it was that small in the pyramids, for example.
Because
Of
there
course.
Is, yeah, because there is nothing that small. It's always big. So what
It's
did
always
they do?
miracle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what did they do in one sentence? They decided to, are you ready for this, dear viewers? They decided to create a language.
To create a what?
A language.
To invent a language? Okay.
Invent a script special for the people of Sinai, for those workers. And that will be a mix between number of hieroglyphs, which is well known, a number of other symbols which nobody knew anything about until the beginning of the 20th century. The British came to Sinai, they studied this. They found it in Sarabit al-Khadim, they found it in the caves, but they never found it in temples.
Okay.
They found it carved on a red stone sphinx that big. Now, unfortunately, in the British Museum, I'm asking for it to come back and retrieve it. And the hieroglyphs are close to the Proto-Sinaitic script.
Meaning this was a dialect or a language.
It is actually a script with symbols, with pronunciations.
Okay.
Can you believe that? And we now, if you go to the Egyptian Museum, after the new exhibition scenario, beautiful, I love it. Now there are spaces that we can enjoy our Egyptian Museum in Tahrir Square. You will find in room 44, the room of surprises I call it, room 44, where the temporary exhibitions takes place, there is a statue of a man called Naamo, that big. That statue is to me is more important than an obelisk. Why? Because carved on it, it's a cube statue. It's the statue of the cube style. And carved on it is Proto-Sinaitic script. Now, very simply, why am I so excited about this? Because the Proto-Sinaitic script is, you take it with me, that it was influenced by hieroglyphs, right? Then it influenced Phoenicians, Lebanon. And we all know, and the world said, that Phoenician dialects and language and scripts influence Greek
Okay.
script. And the Greek script is the origin of the Latin, Rome. And Latin is the origin of what we are talking now. And we are talking Germany and in France. So who taught script to Europe? Was the Egyptian Sinaitic script. If you put this sentence at the airport and you put it in Sinaitic script and in different languages up, come to take a look at a statue that big that proves that we are the people, without any exaggeration and without definitely any chauvinism. I hate cultural chauvinism. We are not getting even near the chauvinic or the attitude of being we are number one in everything. But it was the British who said that before the Egyptians, when they said the Proto-Sinaitic script. So that excavation can be related to all of this. So we are talking workers, we are talking culture, we are talking language, we are talking symbols, we are talking inventing new language.
If I understand you well, meaning that the script you're talking about is even more important than the Rosetta Stone.
I am with you 150%, though we need it still.
Of course, we need
it to
it.
come back. But to say it is more important in the value, the cultural value, definitely that small statue and the Sphinx statue in the British Museum. So when our very brave Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities nowadays, as in the last 10 years, they succeeded in retrieving 29,300 pieces, as I was told by Dr. Shammaa Abdel Gawad, the very, very active man. And you will be surprised, I'll relieve a secret now. The guys who are retrieving the 29,300 pieces, they're very small in number. That section is not a section of 200 workers in the ministry. Dr. Shammaa Abdel Gawad and a few number of young ladies and young gentlemen, Egyptians, and what an amazing success they made.
Started a long journey, and we all know that it's not going to be that easy.
Of course.
But where they are now?
Well, I'm very happy with where they are now, but as we are a little bit more wanting. So, yes, you brought us back, for example, the green, and please, it's not a coffin, it's a cover of a coffin. It's the green cover of the coffin. We are talking about a cover of a coffin which is 3 meters long. We're talking being exhibited in a museum in the United States. Last year, a gilded one from the Metropolitan, and it was because the man who sold it from Europe to them failed in giving the correct paper. Now, I lectured in the Metropolitan Museum in New York, and the Houston Museum, yes, I didn't lecture in it, but for me, and this is the last thing I'm going to say to give you the chance to open any other topics that you want, I'm not buying this business of the Metropolitan Museum saying we've been bluffed by the paper which was given to us by the dealer in Europe. Excuse me, you are one of the top 3 museums in the world. We read your books. We read the Egyptologists that you deal with. So for you to be bluffed by a piece of paper by a dealer in France or in Germany.
They do not know how to sell it, but it's okay. By the way, since we are speaking about those monuments, I dream that once we are going to visit the Nefertiti head in the gym, not in Berlin. Anyways, sir, let me go again to the
you took me there, you know. You're like, now I'm thinking like I'm going to the gym and there is a room and there is Nefertiti's head.
I saw it when I was saying that. I saw it myself. I am greedy, maybe, or or.
It's nice to be greedy in these things.
Nice to be greedy because. These are ancestors. These are our monuments. But let's return back to the things we have here, because still we do have a lot to speak about when it comes to other archaeological discoveries. And to go to other places rather than Luxor, Aswan, Saqqara, of course, they are wonderful places. But let's go to places where we were not used to speak about that much. Because when it comes to Egypt, as I said in my intro, under each stone you can find something to say that, oh, this is Egypt. I mean, have you heard about Tun al-Jabal, for example? Have you heard about Sand al-Hagar? Have you heard about Il-Minya? I mean, there are other places. Suhaj. And, you know, when I'm speaking, for example, about a factory of perfumes, a factory of beer, a sarcophagus of animals, statues of, or how we mummified cats. There are things which I think are going all the time to be sources of pride for us and of magically surprising the whole world forever. Tell me more.
Well, Tun al-Jabal, I'll start by Tun al-Jabal. I love Tun al-Jabal.
I also do.
I guided there for, let's say over 15, 20 years. So Tun al-Jabal, one of the excavations, and I remember very well that time when Dr. Mustafa Waziri came up and he was so excited by this. You can excavate a tomb, right? Or a temple or a perfume factory. And then you found lots of beautiful statues, lots of beautiful scarabs, and so on and so forth. And he comes out with a scarab that small.
Okay.
And that would be the thing that will attract me. And the reason for that is, carved on that scarab was a sentence, Web Nefer Rampet, in hieroglyphs. And you think web
Never is beauty.
Never is beauty.
Okay.
Exactly.
Others?
So now you've got 4 out of 10. Can you continue? Right. Rampet is year. Web opening. So it's the opening of the beautiful year. This is Happy New Year by the ancient Egyptians, carved on scarabs for resurrection so that you can enjoy the new year in the afterlife. Now, that's a very humane thing
Sure.
to find. And it's a very humane angle to look from dealing with the Egyptian civilization,
Yeah.
right? And that will keep everybody who's talking about extraterrestrials and I don't know what, it will keep them shut because here is a human who wants to say Happy New Year in hieroglyphs in his tomb. Things like that. Yes, small pieces. And that's why, to all of you lovers of Egyptology, take it from me. In Egyptology, size isn't everything.
Sure.
Because you can have a huge monument, but it will never give you the info that would give you a small scarab. And that's for sure. Now, I'll take you to Sohaj for one of those excavations that you're talking about. And they excavated 2022, an amazing excavation, the whole world. And I remember the media of abroad talked to me and everything. And I think that should be concentrated. They found struck potsherds and written on it a word which is one word which is repeated the whole pottery shirt. What is this?
Okay.
And they found, after they've studied it, that this is when you made a mistake in your dictation as a student, you are going to write this word 10 times.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Isn't that something that we do today? When your English teacher, your French teacher will tell you to repeat the word that you made a mistake and 10 times, and by this, you'll never forget it.
You want to learn it by heart.
Learn it by heart. They also found something called animal alphabetical lectures, which is, I will teach the children the owl, the crow, the bird, the wagtail, and so on, the falcon, the vulture, and so on, the griffin, and so on and so forth. But instead of starting by drawing, it will start by the first letter in hieroglyphs, starting the first letter of the name of this bird in hieroglyphs.
Okay.
So you are going to learn the bird, how it is the name pronounced, and how to write it by drawing and writing at the same time.
Okay.
We're talking about an amazing education system. All of these
Methods
things,
of learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All of these things finally is going to tell the world it is no surprise that this is a civilization that placed 2.3 million blocks of stones in one building. So don't tell me about ETs and don't tell me about extraterrestrials. I'm talking about a genius, human called the Egyptian.
And this, of course, should be implemented on the ground with the technology we have in our museums, how we can show the whole world in our museums to what extent our ancestors were genius in everything. And it's not only about the size, it's about the details in each piece. It's about the way we introduce our theories, even in something that size. True?
I am 100% with you. Now we are talking
because
about
I want to take you to the gym, and I want to take you to this gym because inshallah this is going to be our gift to the whole world. And this is going to be another source of pride, not only with what's included, but the way we are showing this.
Exactly.
If you want to elaborate on that.
The other day I was talking to a doctor in Banha University, and we were talking about the gym, and we were talking about the number of exactly unique artifacts. When you have 200 Ushabtis, so you tend to, the normal tourists will tend to go through, see one Ushabti, I've seen it all, this, not to us.
Yes, sure.
But we are talking about the natural normal person who's passing by. But to have the one-offs, that's brilliant. Now, you said it's going to be our gift to the world. And the world is going to enjoy that. We are sure of that, inshallah, great. opening and great museum. So I'm talking to this doctor who is interested in the 7D light visions of light in the form of light.
Yeah, yeah.
Light visions of statues, meaning she designed the small museum which will be attached, and that's my proposition to the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities. She designed it in the ancient Egyptian way, and she is going to use the 7D, 7 dimensions, in putting the statues which are abroad and we want it back. So we're going to put Hem-Iuno, which has got one statue only in the world, in a city called Hildesheim in Germany. Now, until I bring Hem-Iuno back, we are going to put him on 7D in this museum. Now, you've seen the grand, you've seen the gem? Yes, great. Come, spend 15 minutes in this museum. Here is Nefertiti's head. Here is Ankh-Haef, who's in Boston. He is the architect of the second and the first pyramid. And here is the Rosetta Stela, and not stone.
Okay.
Stone is, you cut stone from the quarries. You carved on it, it's a stela.
Okay.
Okay.
I beg your pardon, sir.
I'm sorry. So finally, we will end my speech to you. In this business, we are going to take all visitors to this small museum if the ministry agree on the idea. She's ready. Her doctorate, by the way, is about that. So she's ready. It's not going to cost you. It's light. And the minute the tourist is going to enter and see the Nefertiti's head in light, in 7D.
Hologram.
Hologram, thank you.
Yeah.
So, but where is the original? And you start the story of retrieving.
Well, as usual, I enjoyed my time.
Thank you.
And inshallah, we are going to achieve all these dreams. It's not going to be dreams anymore. It's a process going on. And we are going all the time to feel that proud of our civilization, which is going to amaze the world in the end of the world.
Absolutely.
Well, Mr. Bassam Shammaa, our archaeologist, our expert, our Egyptologist, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, right after this, we are going to be back with more, so stay tuned.